I was always a midfielder till I was 16 years old, and I shot up and I was taller than everyone, so I ended up at the back. He put that into my game, what you can see here, the no-nonsense defending. They need to know that they can handle them moments. They will be able to handle those moments, but they need to expect them to come, because that's what happens when you play for this club.
Harry, welcome along. We want to understand a bit about your influences and those you influence now playing centre half. So the first clips we have is of Man United legend Steve Bruce. Now I know you were born when Steve was in his heyday, but he signed you for Hull when you were 21. So did he have much of an impact on your game?
Yeah, definitely a huge impact. No, it was a big reason. I had a couple of clubs in for me that year. I can remember, but signing for Hull with Steve, the manager, was one that I really wanted to go to, probably just because of, obviously Hull's a great club as well, and I loved my time there, but I must say he was a big influence on why I wanted to sign there, just because I knew what he did for Manchester United, I knew the style that he played, and I knew that he was an amazing centre-back, so I could get so much knowledge from him, and I was at an age where I was desperate to learn and get better and improve, and yeah, no doubt having Steve as my manager for 3 years helped me a lot along my way.
He was a no-nonsense centre-back, putting his head where it hurt, could score a crucial goal as well, was great from the penalty spot, but he did have a knack of scoring important goals, something you have. Did you ever talk about that to him?
Not so much, no. I knew he had a great goal scoring record, and yeah, you can see he scores all sorts of goals. Great header there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's not so much now. When I was a young boy, I was coming up, I was always really good on the ball, and I always just wanted to impress and express myself when I was on the ball and driving forward with it and running up the pitch, and probably focus more on the ball than I did defending. So I think when I joined Hull, and Stevie really started to make me realise that I am a defender and I need to defend first. And he put that into my game, what you can see here, the no-nonsense defending and how to defend proper, how to defend your box really well. But yeah, he was a great man manager, amazing man manager, and a great manager as well, and I learned a lot from him.
Well, we're really glad you copied his goal-scoring knack with those crucial strikes you've got for us. You mentioned about being a ball-playing centre-half. Rio Ferdinand has been an influence to you. You've stated that in the past. So what was it about Rio's game that really inspired you?
Yeah, again, it is probably things like this really. He played in an era where there wasn't many centre-backs who was doing this sort of thing, and he really stood out for me. He could defend, no doubt about it. You don't have a career that he's had without defending, but he was excellent on the ball and driving the ball up the pitch, and that's something that I felt like I was. It was probably one of my strongest part of my game, especially when I was younger, and I could run up and down the pitch all day without breaking sweat. That was a massive part of my game, driving the ball out of the back. And yeah, Rio was probably the one in that era who did it really, and there wasn't many others, so I felt like he always stood out for that, and yeah, it's something that I did learn from him really, and obviously he had a magnificent career at Manchester United, won everything, and he was a top-class all-round defender.
He really was, and it's interesting to hear you noticed that yourself, that he started a new generation of defenders who were more comfortable on the ball and who wanted to travel with it, and we can see that in your game now. Is that something you worked on? Was it coached? How did that develop?
Yeah, I was always a midfielder till I was 16 years old, and I shot up and I was taller than everyone, so I ended up at the back. How it used to be when
I mean, that's happened from school days right through to
I think
professional.
it's probably changing a little bit now, because you get some midfielders who are that size now and dominating the midfield in terms of duels and things. But yeah, I was always a midfielder, so that helped massively, that I was comfortable on the ball, and obviously growing up and playing at Sheffield United, I was always seeing myself as a real good ball-playing centre-back. Like I said, I probably should have focused a little bit more on my defending at that time. So I learnt that when I went to Hull and progressed. And yeah, he was excellent on the ball. as you can see here. But he also was a top class defender as well, and really calm. And I think that was a big thing what I learned from him as well, playing the big situations, real calm. He had that really, really well.
It's such a great asset to have as a defender if you can be comfortable on the ball and help your team progress up the pitch. You see a clip here of Rio taking the ball half the length of the pitch, helping us in an attack which we eventually score from. So particularly in the modern game, it's a really important asset you have.
Yeah, definitely. It's a big part of the game now. I think it's. I think that's why I've always said. I mean, Rio could play in any era.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure nowadays in this era, actually this season probably a little bit less, as it has been over the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
About being comfortable on the ball with defenders and building up from the back. Every attack starts from a defender. But he does go around in cycles, so in 10 years' time it might change.
Steve Bruce will be back.
Yeah, he could be. But no, you've seen this year it's a little bit less probably building up from the back than it has been in the previous years. It's turning more into more long balls, I'm sure, but he does go around in cycles, and I think it's just finding a way to win a football match and finding the best possible way it is. And yeah, I'm sure the last 8 years or so since I've been playing, building up from the back has been a massive part of the game.
Yeah, it sure has. On to former Reds you've played with then, and there are 3 you've played with most, Victor Lindelof, Jonny Evans and Rafa Varane. Let's have a look at Victor first. How good was he to play with, and what influence did he have on you?
Yeah, I think Victor was an excellent player. He probably, I believe, he didn't get the credit he deserved when he was playing at this club. Although he obviously played so many games and he always played under managers, but he was an excellent player. We had an amazing relationship on the pitch. The first 2 years, I think, if I'm right, I think we kept the most clean sheets in Europe in the first season, and maybe second or third in the second season. We kept loads of clean sheets. We defended proper. We defended well. So yeah, I'd go with Victor. For me, I played probably the most amount of games with Victor, and I believe our relationship on the pitch was as strong as I've had with anyone really.
Rafa Varane next. Obviously, he came to the club with huge pedigree after starting for Real Madrid. What's he like to play with, and did you learn parts from him that you could adapt into your own game?
Yeah, definitely. Rafa was a winner, a born winner, and he was great for the club. He obviously come after having all those years at Real Madrid and so much experience. So if you didn't learn from him, you're not going to learn from anybody. He's an excellent player, a great person as well. He was a great person to have in the dressing room, a proper leader, a proper winner. Not the loudest, but you could tell with his presence and his aura. He brought great leadership, and no, it was a pleasure to play alongside him, because obviously he's, I believe, when he was at Real Madrid, arguably one of the best defenders in the last 20 years.
Yeah, he sure was. And just finally, in terms of former players, Jonny Evans, who came back for a second spell at the club, and he, with all that wealth of experience he has, we saw him at the start of the clips playing for Leicester against us when we were talking about Victor, but he is Manchester United, isn't he? What was he like to be around?
No, he's a great guy. He's really calm, real good player. When I speak about underrated players, I'd say Jonny for me was probably the most underrated player I've ever played with. If I was a young boy and I was teaching someone to watch defending and watch body positioning and watch movement, I'd say watch Jonny Evans. He was that good at his body positioning and the way that he's so active in every part of the game. Defending, there's a lot more different things to it than just making last-ditch tackles and making big challenges. They get the plaudits from the fans, but your body positioning, your footwork, and the understanding of where you need to be, and the main thing as a defender, I always say, is being active in every part of the game. And Jonny was the best I've played with in terms of that. So he was an excellent player, and obviously coming towards the end when he come back to us at the club, but you could still see his quality. I've seen a lot more of his quality obviously when he was at Leicester.
Yeah.
In his prime, but he was amazing to play with.
So you're talking about positioning, something you learn, and Is that something that comes with experience? Because now we've got some very good young defenders at the club, which I'm sure you will be helping. Lenny Yoro has come to the club. A lot has been spoken about in terms of his potential, particularly from the likes of Rio. So how are you helping young defenders, particularly Lenny in this case?
Yeah, I try to help them every day, trying to give them advice. They need to realise that they're playing at the most pressurised club in the world. Well, one of, if not the most. And times are going to come that they're going to be tough and they're going to get questioned and they're going to have opinions about them. No matter who you are, that's what happens. I'm sure that happened to Rio when he was one of the best. So it's going to happen to Lenny, it's going to happen to Aidan, it's going to happen to any young centre-back. They need to know that they can handle them moments. They will be able to handle those moments, but they need to expect them to come, because that's what happens when you play for this club.
Yeah, watching some clips of Aidan now, who has come into the team. He has taken an opportunity afforded to him by injuries to yourself and Matthias de Ligt and done very well. So how much do you rate him, and what's he learnt from you?
No, I think Aidan's got real good ability in everything you want from a defender. He's quick, he's strong, he's really good on the ball, he's calm. And I do believe Aidan will improve a lot with experience. But he's a great lad. He's willing to learn. He wants to learn.
Just finally, on influences and people you influence, how important is it then in your role now as one of the more senior defenders to be present, to be there for the young players and to give words of advice whenever those around you seek it?
Yeah, definitely. I know that there's going to be times where they're finding it tough. I don't know when them times will come, but it will happen, because that's what happens in a career, especially when you're a defender nowadays in this modern era where every goal's analysed, every goal's on social media, every goal's scrutinised. It's always someone's fault, and when you're a defender, you're going to get the blame, but you've got to deal with that, and that's part and parcel of being a centre-back for a big club, and I'm sure these boys will handle it. I don't want to put too much pressure on them, really.
There's always pressure. They're at Manchester
Yeah,
United, right? Well, it's an absolute pleasure to hear that the future's bright in terms of the defence. Future in terms of the defence right now is good with yourself and Matty de Ligt and Luke playing so great there. So keep up the good work, Harry.
Thank you very much.
Top man, thank you.
Good chat. Thank you.